Ladies and gentlemen, let us take a moment to consider the figure of a woman who walks alone with no friends. At first glance, this might seem tragic, a tale of isolation and abandonment. But let us pause and look deeper, for appearances often deceive. In a world that thrives on connections, affiliations, and social validation, the act of walking alone becomes a quiet defiance, a subtle yet powerful assertion of autonomy. Society often molds individuals into roles, prescribing paths and defining success based on relationships, popularity, and the approval of others. To walk alone, especially as a woman, is to step away from these unwritten rules, to reject the notion that one's value is tied to the company they keep or the relationships they maintain. This path of solitude allows for a shedding of labels, no longer a daughter, a friend, a colleague, or a partner, but simply an individual navigating her own unique journey. When one is free from the expectations of others, decisions are no longer influenced by the need to fit in or meet preconceived notions. There is no pressure to conform, to adjust one's thoughts, appearance, or behavior to align with external standards. Without these constraints, authenticity flourishes. The woman who walks alone can explore her interests, her passions, and her beliefs without the noise of collective opinion. In solitude, she finds the space to question, to reflect, and to redefine what matters to her, unclouded by the judgments or desires of others. Walking alone also brings clarity. Away from the distractions of social dynamics, she can tune into the voice within, the one often drowned out in the presence of others. This inner voice becomes a guide, helping her make choices that resonate with her true self. Free from the need to explain or justify her actions, she discovers the courage to pursue a life that feels meaningful and authentic. It is in this freedom that she begins to understand the difference between doing what is expected and doing what is fulfilling. The absence of social expectations also removes the weight of comparison. In a world constantly measuring success by external markers, be it wealth, relationships, or recognition, solitude creates a space where she is not competing with others. Her journey becomes her own, untethered from the need to prove herself to anyone else. Each step taken is for her growth, her understanding, her joy. The journey is no longer about reaching milestones dictated by societal norms, but about finding contentment in the present moment. While solitude may seem like an escape, it is, in truth, a return to the self, to the essence of who one is beyond the roles and obligations imposed by society. The woman who walks alone learns that she is enough as she is. She does not need others to complete her or to define her worth. In this self-sufficiency there is a profound strength, a quiet confidence that does not waver with the opinions of the world. This freedom, born from walking alone, is not a loneliness to be pitied, but a liberation to be celebrated. By stepping away from social expectations, she reclaims her power, her identity, and her life. The path she walks may be solitary, but it is a path of courage, authenticity, and boundless possibility, carved not by the world around her, but by the truth within. Solitude is often misunderstood, seen as a state of lack or something to be avoided, but in reality it can be a profound source of strength. In solitude, there is an opportunity for a person to confront their true self, unmasked and unfiltered, away from the influence of others. This confrontation, while challenging, becomes a crucible where resilience is forged. When a woman walks alone, without the safety net of constant companionship, she learns to rely on her inner resources, cultivating a deep well of emotional and mental fortitude. In solitude, the distractions of the external world fade away, leaving space to hear the voice within, to recognize fears, aspirations, and truths that often go unnoticed in the noise of daily life. To stand alone and thrive requires courage. It is in the quiet moments when there is no one else to lean on that she discovers her ability to face life's challenges head-on. She learns that she is enough, that she can withstand the storms of life without seeking shelter in the validation or support of others. This realization builds a foundation of unshakable self-confidence, a strength rooted in the understanding that her worth and capabilities are not tied to external factors. Through solitude, she gains clarity of thought, free from the biases and expectations of others. And this clarity becomes a source of power. Decisions made in solitude are often more authentic, as they stem from a place of inner knowing rather than the desire to conform or please. In moments of solitude, creativity flourishes. With no one else's opinions to color her thoughts, she can explore her ideas freely, allowing her imagination to wander and her mind to innovate. Many of history's greatest thinkers and creators found their inspiration in solitude, proving that it is a fertile ground for growth and discovery. When she is alone, she has the freedom to experiment, to fail, and to try again without fear of judgment. This process strengthens her resilience, teaching her that failure is not an endpoint, but a stepping stone on the path to greater understanding and success. Solitude also cultivates emotional strength. By spending time with herself, she learns to navigate her emotions independently, understanding them, embracing them, and ultimately mastering them. The ability to find peace in solitude is a testament to her strength, as it requires her to be at ease with her own company. It demands a level of self-acceptance and self-love that not everyone achieves. In solitude, she is not avoiding the world, but engaging with it in a deeper way, discovering that her strength does not come from others, but from within. The solitude she embraces is not emptiness, it is a space filled with potential, reflection, and empowerment. It is in walking alone that she builds the strength to face the world on her terms, to remain steadfast in her values, and to live a life that is truly her own. Solitude, far from being a weakness, becomes a sanctuary where strength is nurtured and self-discovery blossoms. Connection to the self is a journey inward, an exploration of the essence of who we are beneath the roles, labels, and expectations imposed by the world. When a woman walks alone, she steps into a space where she can hear the quiet stirrings of her soul, unclouded by the noise of others' opinions and demands. This solitude creates the perfect environment for self-awareness to take root and flourish. It allows her to pause and ask the questions that often go unspoken in the rush of daily life. What do I truly desire? What brings me joy? What do I value most deeply? These reflections are not just intellectual exercises, but profound inquiries that reveal the contours of her inner world. In the stillness of solitude, she begins to notice the thoughts and emotions that surface without external distractions to mask them. She becomes an observer of her own mind, understanding its patterns, fears, and desires. This process of observation is not one of judgment, but of gentle curiosity, a willingness to embrace herself as she is, with all her strengths and vulnerabilities. The connection to the self deepens as she learns to accept the parts of herself she once hid or ignored. There is a liberation in this acceptance, a freedom that comes from realizing she does not need to be anything other than who she is. The act of walking alone becomes symbolic of this journey, each step taking her closer to her authentic self. In connecting with herself, she also discovers the richness of her inner resources. She finds that she possesses a wellspring of creativity, resilience, and wisdom that can only be accessed when she turns inward. The process is not always easy. Facing oneself without the distractions of others can be daunting, as it often brings to light fears, regrets, or insecurities. Yet it is through this confrontation that growth occurs. She learns to navigate her inner landscape with compassion, to hold space for her emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Over time, this self-compassion becomes a cornerstone of her strength, enabling her to face life's challenges with grace and confidence. As she connects more deeply with herself, she begins to understand her place in the larger tapestry of existence. She feels the rhythms of life, the interconnectedness of all things, and her role within this vast universe. This awareness does not diminish her individuality, but enhances it, showing her that she is both unique and a part of something greater. The clarity that comes from this connection to the self enables her to live a life that is more aligned with her true values and desires. Her decisions are no longer influenced by external pressures, but guided by an inner compass that points toward authenticity and fulfillment. The connection to the self is not a destination, but a lifelong journey, one that deepens and evolves over time. It is a relationship that requires patience, honesty, and a willingness to be vulnerable. Yet it is in this connection that she finds her greatest source of strength, clarity, and peace. Walking alone becomes not a sign of isolation, but a celebration of this profound relationship with herself, a reminder that the most important journey is the one that leads inward. Walking alone, a woman begins to feel the subtle rhythms of the world around her, rhythms that often go unnoticed in the hustle of everyday life. Each step becomes an invitation to tune into the whispers of nature and the vastness of the universe. She notices the rustle of leaves, the murmur of the wind, the soft crunch of her footsteps on the earth. These sounds are not just background noise, they are part of a symphony in which she is a participant. The stillness of solitude allows her to truly hear, to feel the pulse of life that flows through everything around her. The boundaries between herself and the natural world begin to blur as she realizes that she is not separate from it, but a part of it. As she walks, she feels the sun's warmth on her skin, the cool embrace of a passing breeze, the solid support of the ground beneath her feet. These sensations anchor her to the present moment, reminding her that she is alive here now. Nature becomes her companion, offering a sense of connection that is deeper and more profound than words can convey. She sees how the trees stand tall and resilient, weathering storms and seasons, and she finds inspiration in their quiet strength. The flowing rivers teach her about movement and adaptability, showing her that life is not about resisting change, but flowing with it. The stars above remind her of the vastness of the universe, of the countless mysteries that lie beyond her understanding. And yet in that vastness, she feels a sense of belonging. This harmony with nature is not about control or dominance, but about coexistence. She learns to move with the rhythms of the natural world rather than against them. She begins to notice how her breath aligns with the rise and fall of the wind, how her thoughts quiet as she gazes at the endless horizon. In these moments, she feels a profound stillness, a peace that comes not from escaping the world, but from being fully present in it. The universe, in all its infinite complexity, does not demand her attention or her understanding. It simply exists, and in its existence, it offers her a sense of wonder and humility. Through this connection, she comes to see herself not as a separate entity, but as a thread in the intricate web of life. The same energy that fuels the sun, stirs the wind, and blooms the flowers flows through her. This realization brings with it a deep sense of gratitude, a recognition that she is both small and significant. She is one among countless beings, yet her existence matters, just as the tiniest leaf matters to the tree. In nature's cycles of growth, decay, and renewal, she finds echoes of her own journey, reminders that life is not linear but cyclical, full of endings that give rise to new beginnings. Walking alone in this harmony, she does not feel lonely. She feels supported by the earth beneath her, embraced by the sky above her, and connected to the vast, infinite universe around her. This connection is not something she creates, it is something she awakens to, something that has always been there. In her solitude, she finds that she is never truly alone, for she is part of something far greater, something timeless and infinite. Rejection of superficial validation is an act of profound courage and self-liberation. In a world that constantly seeks approval through likes, applause, and fleeting affirmations, choosing to walk alone without chasing external validation is a declaration of independence. It is a realization that the worth of a person cannot be measured by the opinions of others or the numbers that quantify social acceptance. For a woman who walks alone, this rejection is not an act of defiance, but an embrace of something deeper and more lasting. It is a commitment to finding value within herself, rather than relying on the transient judgments of the outside world. The path to rejecting superficial validation begins with an understanding of its nature. External validation is often fleeting, inconsistent, and dependent on circumstances beyond one's control. Praise today can turn into criticism tomorrow. Approval may be granted not because of authenticity, but because of conformity to others' expectations. A woman who walks alone recognizes this cycle and chooses to step away from it. She understands that chasing approval only leads to a loss of self, as she would constantly shape herself to fit the ever-changing desires of others. In rejecting this, she gains the freedom to be true to herself, to live according to her own values and principles. This rejection is not without challenges. The world often equates being alone with being unwanted, and refusing to seek external validation can feel isolating at first. However, in this solitude, she discovers a quieter, more enduring sense of worth. She begins to understand that her value is intrinsic, not something that can be granted or taken away by anyone else. This self-worth is not loud or boastful. It is a steady, unshakable belief in her own significance, independent of others' perceptions. It allows her to move through life with confidence and grace, unbothered by the need to prove herself to anyone. In rejecting superficial validation, she also opens the door to deeper, more meaningful connections. By no longer seeking to impress or gain approval, she becomes more authentic in her interactions. People are drawn to her not because of what she can offer in terms of status or image, but because of who she truly is. These connections, built on honesty and mutual respect, are far more fulfilling than those based on superficiality. This shift allows her to experience relationships that nourish her soul rather than drain her energy. The decision to reject superficial validation is a return to the self. It is a reclaiming of power, a choice to prioritize inner peace over external recognition. It allows her to focus on her own growth, passions, and purpose, unclouded by the need to meet the expectations of others. It is not about rejecting others, but about embracing herself fully, without compromise. In doing so, she discovers a life that is richer, more authentic, and deeply aligned with who she truly is. This choice, while challenging, is ultimately liberating, as it allows her to live not for others, but for herself. Through this, she finds a sense of fulfillment that no amount of external validation could ever provide. Strength in solitude emerges from the deliberate choice to embrace one's own company, not as a withdrawal from the world, but as an opportunity for growth, reflection, and empowerment. Solitude is not the absence of connection, but the presence of a deeper relationship with oneself. When a woman chooses solitude, she steps into a space where she can fully engage with her thoughts, emotions, and experiences without external interference. This process allows her to develop a profound sense of self-awareness and resilience, qualities that form the foundation of true strength. In solitude, she learns to confront challenges independently, to navigate her inner landscape, and to emerge with a clearer understanding of who she is and what she values. Unlike isolation, which often stems from fear, rejection, or circumstances beyond control, solitude is a conscious decision to step back from the noise of the world. It is not about closing oneself off, but about opening oneself up to inner clarity and self-discovery. Solitude creates a sanctuary where she can process her thoughts, reflect on her journey, and recharge her spirit. In this space, she is free to explore her passions, set her intentions, and envision her future without the distractions of societal expectations or the judgments of others. This intentional solitude becomes a source of empowerment, teaching her that she does not need constant external validation to feel whole. The strength found in solitude is not about shutting out relationships or rejecting the company of others. Instead, it is about developing the capacity to stand strong and self-assured even when alone. In this state, she does not rely on others to fill emotional voids or provide direction. She becomes her own source of encouragement, comfort, and wisdom. This self-reliance does not mean she will never need others, but it ensures that her sense of worth is not dependent on their presence. She can engage with others from a place of completeness rather than need, building healthier and more authentic connections. Solitude also fosters creativity and innovation. In the quiet moments when her mind is free from distractions, she can tap into ideas and insights that may have been buried beneath the noise of daily life. Many of history's greatest achievements and artistic expressions were born from periods of solitude, where individuals had the time and space to think deeply and explore new possibilities. For her, solitude becomes a wellspring of inspiration, where she can envision a life aligned with her true aspirations and find the courage to pursue it. Strength in solitude does not mean denying the importance of community or companionship. It means having the inner resources to thrive even in the absence of these things. It is about finding balance, knowing when to seek support and when to rely on her own abilities. Solitude allows her to cultivate a relationship with herself that is grounded in self-respect, self-love, and self-trust. This foundation of inner strength enables her to face life's uncertainties with confidence, knowing that she has the resilience to overcome challenges and the clarity to make decisions that honor her authentic self. Far from being a state of loneliness, solitude becomes a source of empowerment, a testament to the strength that comes from embracing one's own company with grace and purpose.